Well, we know we're a couple weeks early, but we decided to get a head start on St. Patrick's Day. And this year, we decided to celebrate it by watching the 1993 masterpiece Leprechaun, directed by Mark Jones, starring Warwick Davis. Now, real quick, I gotta tell you guys a funny story. So before filming this video, I went out and bought some St. Patrick's bling. We have the necklaces, we have the oversized Irish sunglasses, and then we have the little Leprechaun candy dispenser, which shoots candy out of its butt. But I gotta tell you guys, I went to my local Walgreens to buy all of this stuff. And when I went to the clerk at the front register, he just kind of gave me this strange look, and he actually asked me, "You must be a proud Irishman, huh?" And I started laughing. I told him, actually, we're doing a movie review. And he's like, "Oh, is it for that new Scorsese movie, The Irishman? Oh yeah, I would love to see you talk about that." And I just hung my head in shame and I said, "Sure." That's the movie that we're going to talk about because we are very dignified YouTubers. And no, we're not talking about The Irishman. We're talking about Leprechaun.
The luck of the Irish is being packed and shipped to a little town in South Dakota.
My ear! He got my ear!
You got the back door, right?
Ow!
This is one of my all-time favorite guilty pleasures. I actually adore the hell out of this movie. These two had never seen it before, so I have to ask, as Leprechaun newcomers, what did you guys think? She brought something to the table. Is that Irish whiskey?
It is.
That's very appropriate for the occasion. You might have to share some of that with Kim because I don't think Kim necessarily liked this movie.
This is what I thought of it.
Kim, do you harbor such negative thoughts towards Leprechaun?
It was ridiculous.
You mean ridiculous in all the right ways?
I don't know.
I mean, if you're the type of person who likes Troll 2, then yeah, I guess.
Hey, you have to admit that the makeup and the prosthetics on Warwick Davis were much, much more adequate and impressive looking than the makeup in Troll 2. Because remember in Troll 2 how it literally looks like the actors are wearing cheap dollar store Halloween masks?
Yeah.
At least the design of the Leprechaun was pretty impressive.
And you do have to give it up to Warwick Davis. He completely and totally committed to this role. He had so much fun with it. But that was it.
Absolutely. Warwick Davis
Kim,
is pretty much the...
You're wanting to say something. I can tell.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought this was going to be a good movie, but... No.
Hey, look, I don't think you go into a movie about a killer leprechaun and expect it to be good. But, okay, a little bit of backstory. So, Leprechaun, so I will agree. Before watching this movie, I thought it was going to be like a Nightmare on Elm Street. I thought it was going to have like a legitimately creepy atmosphere. I thought it was going to be one of those kind of movies. But this was made during a time period where you had all of these very cheap, schlocky movies like Jack Frost, in which the filmmakers would take this ridiculous-looking antagonist and insert him or her into a horror movie. Like in Jack Frost, it's a killer snowman. In this movie, it's a leprechaun. And then you also have The Ginger Dead Man, starring Gary Busey.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
And also, some more trivia. So Leprechaun was originally, it was supposed to be a bit more kid-friendly. It was supposed to be a family-friendly horror movie along the same... It was supposed to be a family-friendly horror movie in the same vein as something like Gremlins or, just something like that. But
I'm going to drink more.
Halfway through filming, the filmmakers decided that they wanted to insert more gore. So there were actually some reshoots. And they actually inserted more gory sequences. And you can definitely tell because there are quote-unquote horrific sequences in this movie in which the leprechaun will slaughter someone. And it is just completely over the top and cartoonishly violent.
And... yeah.
Oh, God.
So, Thor, I'm going to let you describe the plot of this movie, just the general plot. Why don't you tell our viewers what Leprechaun is all about. And please go into great detail.
Yeah. Okay. So Leprechaun is essentially about a leprechaun. Who is looking
really?
for? Yeah, I know. It's
thought it was
shocking. It's surprising, but yes.
I thought it was gonna be about aliens,
I
Dane.
know the green just completely confused you. So, anyways, this leprechaun has had his gold stolen, and he wants it back, and that's pretty much the plot.
You can't even touch his gold without being
killed,
accused of stealing his gold.
He's got issues with his gold and with how he, does things. And basically he ends up getting trapped in the very beginning of the movie. And then you have, Jennifer Aniston's wonderful LA teenager and her dad move in and they let him out and shenanigans ensue and death and a pogo stick.
This all happens in just a night.
Yeah.
I did put that together.
And a dad who's sticking his hand into a dark trunk of a rotting tree. And then surprised when he gets bit.
Because, we didn't see anything bad coming out of that one.
Yeah. And then basically she finds the gold, gives it back to him, but there's one coin missing and he goes off on that. But it turns out that the idiot of the bunch, played by a Pee Wee Herman...
Francis from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah. Ends up having swallowed it previously in the movie somehow.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that.
And basically they have to either kill the leprechaun or let Francis get disemboweled in order for him to get the coin back. Because he can't wait a little bit for it to come out naturally.
That'd be very
there
painful.
were ways to speed that along, I swear. Just have a conversation here, people. Anyways, so eventually they find a 4-leaf clover and this kid wraps it in gum and shoots it with a slingshot into the mouth of the leprechaun. And the leprechaun falls into... I can't believe I'm saying this shit. The leprechaun falls into the well with a chaser of gasoline that some mulleted-looking dude pours on him. And then a match, and then it explodes. And apparently it's supposed to be happily ever after, but... there's like 10 more of these, so apparently they did something wrong.
We're like really scared. Hello? I need the police. This is an emergency.
You can kill anything.
What the hell are you?
You just gotta know how to do it.
That was a very accurate description of this movie's plot.
I can't believe I said some of those sentences.
This movie is comprised of so many stupid sequences, and we have to, right off the bat with the prologue. So the prologue of this movie perfectly sets up what kind of film this is going to be, because it is just completely stupid and nonsensical. Essentially what happens is that you have this old man who returns home from Ireland, and apparently he's brought back with him a leprechaun that he's been keeping inside a suitcase. The suitcase is in his living room. The old man's wife hears the sound of a little girl coming from the suitcase, so she goes to investigate. She puts her ear up to the suitcase. The suitcase opens, and the first kill of this movie is hilarious because the leprechaun jumps out of the suitcase, and the old lady tumbles down the staircase into the basement.
That was funny how she tumbled. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, Kim was laughing her ass off.
That was kind of funny.
And then essentially what happens is that the old man is in possession of a 4-leaf clover, and he threatens the leprechaun with a 4-leaf clover, and basically leads him down to the basement where he's able to trap him inside this crate. And I just have to say, okay, first of all, the leprechaun is such a non-threatening villain because, first of all, his witty jokes are terrible and unfunny.
And this is coming from the king of puns.
Yes.
And honestly, though, he felt like he was the Freddy Krueger in the 6th one where he tries to be funny, but he's just not.
Or
the new
and then
nightmare.
And then I've got a question with that. And here's one of the first really major plot holes that
Mhm.
I cannot get over. If he had a 4-leaf clover, why didn't he just kill him?
That's a really good question. I
Just
mean,
end it off.
there are so many plot holes in this movie, but he traps the leprechaun inside this crate.
Instead
And
of killing him,
he's
because he
about
has
to
the 4-leaf clover.
He's about to set the crate on fire, but at the last minute, he has a supposed heart attack. It turns out later that it wasn't even a heart attack because he's still alive. But the leprechaun becomes trapped for 10 years inside this crate. And then after this opening
Playing
sequence,
cards.
yes, after this opening sequence,
Playing cards.
we get these overhead shots of Jennifer Aniston and her father driving down the highway, and it plays out like a Coca-Cola commercial because all of a sudden we get this upbeat 90s pop song.
That the song is singing about a 4-leaf clover.
Mhm.
Isn't that right?
But Jennifer Aniston is this uptight LA Valley girl who is moving into this old rickety house with her father. And when she first arrives, she's dressed in like this low-cut dress and high heels.
And I did not get Valley Girl from her because she did not sound like a Valley Girl. So
That's true.
she needs to work on her Valley accent a little bit.
Can't-
Because, totally, it was so not Valley. And
It was just more of this
It was just more of like
rich, like the rich snobby.
Mm-hmm. Spoiled
yeah,
girl.
she was like totally LA and not Valley at all. Cause yeah.
And Kim, once she arrives at the house, who does she meet? The
Oh
character
my
who
God.
entices
Oh my
her
gosh.
to stay.
So she's, pretty much she goes to this house and she's finding everything wrong. So we need to leave. Okay, I'm just
Oh,
gonna
there's
go.
a giant, like plate-sized tarantula in the bottom. It's like arachnophobia.
And she's like, I'm just gonna go get a hotel and I'm just gonna go. And so she leaves, gets ready to leave. And then all of a sudden, Kevin Bacon lookalike just
Kevin Bacon with
Bacon.
the tightest jeans you will ever see and the longest mullet.
Bacon-ish.
Bacon light.
with his stylish jean jacket.
And I made a joke.
with the sheepskin, fur collar.
And I actually made a joke that it would have been hilarious if the leprechaun had set him on fire later in the movie because then he would have been crispy bacon.
Oh my god.
I mean, it's not Kevin
crispy
Bacon, but
bacon-ish. This is like Kevin Bacon is bacon, and he's like turkey bacon.
and then we're introduced to the rest of the buffoonish characters. You have
Which, by the way, I want to just throw this out here. How did he just appear out of nowhere, by the way?
Yeah, there were no cars there. There was nothing to indicate
All of a
that
sudden, it
anybody else was
whoa,
there.
look where I'm at. Oh, look, we're right here.
he has
Oh, and instead of saying sorry, she goes and it's like, here's 10, just I hope that takes care of your paint.
he has magical powers. He's like the leprechaun. He can teleport anywhere he wants. But we're introduced to the rest of the cast of these buffoonish characters. You have Francis from Pee-wee's Big Adventure playing this obnoxious man-child. You have the little boy from Rookie of the Year who
And
dresses
Playing
like
just an obnoxious child.
yeah.
And he played in 2 other movies there. And around the same time frame, you had Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead and
Mhm.
Forever Young with Mel Gibson.
He was also in Rookie of the Year, the baseball movie from the late 90s. But, essentially what happens is that these cast of characters, the characters in this movie, they come off as Goosebumps characters because, first of all, you don't fear for them at all.
No.
Because
No.
they are all ridiculous. Like, they all
Honestly-
act like cartoon characters.
And honestly, you don't really have any emotional connection to any of them. You really don't care.
Mhm.
You're like, can we just one of them die?
Maybe that
Yeah.
would be funny.
And you're like, and it'd be okay because they're kind of annoying at times.
Yeah.
And the little boy, and I really hate this horror trope where you have the little boy who is the most knowledgeable out of all of them. He's like the most intelligent. The little boy who dresses like Ness from the N64 games. But he really does. Okay, but but like I said earlier, this movie is comprised of so many stupid moments, and I have to describe a couple of my favorite sequences, and then I'll ask you guys what some of your favorite moments were. Okay, so there were reshoots done of this movie to make it more horrific and more violent. And one of my favorite kill sequences is
Horrific is relative.
Yes, one of my favorite kill sequences involves the shop owner
Oh,
because
man.
Francis.
I knew he was going to say that.
I knew
Francis and the little
You're
boy,
right.
they take these gold pieces to the shopkeeper who, inspects it and says it might be real gold. They leave the shopkeeper by himself, and the leprechaun, of course, makes an appearance. And what does he use to kill the shopkeeper? He uses a pogo stick.
And pogos him to death.
He basically he jumps repeatedly on this poor man and pogos him to death. Just one of the many
Penetrates him
over-the-top.
over and over again.
He really penetrates him with that pogo stick. And okay, my second favorite kill sequence in this movie is probably the most illogical thing ever, because he steals a toy car from this shop owner.
Oh.
He is driving down the highway in this toy car at top speed. This police officer chases after him, and when the police officer first talks to him, he's like, "Aren't you a little young to be out this late, little boy?" And it's clearly not a little boy, this deformed demon. He thinks it's like this kid playing trick-or-treat or something. But the leprechaun, of course, slashes at his face with his long nails. And cut to the cop running through the woods instead of getting back into his car and driving away. The leprechaun, chases him through this dark forest. And there's a particularly dumb moment where the leprechaun's hat is on the ground, and the police officer, approaches it, picks it up, and then you see the leprechaun in the distance, and what does he do? He throws his nightstick at nothing, which allows the leprechaun to essentially corner him. He backs him up against this tree. The leprechaun wraps his legs around him, and I thought he was going to pull his whole head off, but he actually just twists it and breaks his neck.
As he beforehand was yelling,
Mm-hmm.
just leave me alone, like a cop hasn't seen some worse stuff than that.
Yeah.
Like, that's totally going to help, but I have to ask you guys, what were some of your favorite moments in this movie?
Okay, so my favorite moment, and this is because I have the sense of humor of a 12-year-old boy,
Mm-hmm.
is when he's going, okay, so they find out that they need to go talk to the guy that had a stroke at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, Jennifer Aniston's character leaves everybody else behind
she goes to
and
the rest
drives
home.
off to the
nursing home.
the nursing home in order to meet up with this guy. And turns out that the leprechaun's already gotten there, and she's running away from him, and he comes after her in a wheelchair. He's like,
Oh yeah, he's rolling down the hallway, and
it's so obvious that the film has been sped up. But honestly, the only thing I could think of during this time, and like I said, humor of a 12-year-old boy, is he probably jacks off really well.
he probably, because he moves really fast. His hands move really fast. I mean, he moves down this hallway in this wheelchair at the speed of light. And I was just picturing like a Scooby-Doo song number playing over this scene, where he's chasing Jennifer Aniston down the hallway in his wheelchair.
I wasn't thinking Scooby-Doo. I was just...
Kim, were there any moments that stood out to you as amazing?
I'm sorry.
Honestly, I can't even think of one because... But I guess if I had to pick one,
Mm-hmm.
it would have to be the one that you said with the pogo stick.
Mm-hmm. The pogo stick death?
Yeah.
Did anybody get like how overtly sexual some of these things were?
Oh,
He
absolutely.
grabbed the guy's balls
yeah.
like
Oh my
this.
God.
There's a moment
really
where
getting his fingers up behind
there's a moment
sack into the perineum area, and he's like doing that, and
there's a
the
moment
whole,
where
jerking off with the wheelchair, and
Feeling up Jennifer Aniston's leg.
oh my god, yeah, there's a moment where Kevin Bacon lookalike is searching for the leprechaun in the kitchen, and out of nowhere the leprechaun reaches up and grabs his crotch.
No, but he grabs it like this,
Very delicately.
So he's like got his fingers up behind.
Oh, and of course we have to mention the major contradiction. There's one point where the leprechaun discovers a box of cereal called Lucky Clovers.
Oh,
I mean, obviously they couldn't get Lucky Charms in this movie, copyright issues. But then at the end of the movie, the little boy has a slingshot. He fires the 4-leaf clover at the leprechaun, and what does he say?
Fuck you, Lucky Charms.
The immortal badass line, "Fuck you, Lucky Charms." Contradiction.
Probably because Lucky Charms would not let them have Lucky Charms in the movie.
But you can say Lucky Charms.
Right. So it was kind of like a double entendre. There's a double meaning in that. So fuck you, Lucky Charms, and fuck you, Lucky Charms. So one of those.
That's true.
Maybe I'm just trying to put more depth into this movie than is actually there, but I'm trying here.
She is trying.
Leprechaun.
It's out. It's out of the crate.
I just have to say this movie was terribly shot. I mean, it looks like a direct-to-video piece of trash. The cinematography is so bland. Like, there are so many just bland shots of characters standing center in frame, and there are even some shots that don't make sense. Like, there are certain shots where Jennifer Aniston will be, you know, off to the right. Like, she's not in center. Like, she's almost off camera.
They ignored the rule of 3 in a lot of different shots.
Yeah.
They ended up, that one sequence where she's at the nursing home, you said was filmed by somebody else. I was hopeful. And their Dutch angle and their way of trying to say she's in this uncomfortable situation by having these weird angles and these weird colors and them kind of spinning it type of thing. All it did was say, you know what, you already know he's here.
It's shot like a Goosebumps episode. Like, there's almost no atmosphere. Whenever a scene is set during the evening, everything is brightly lit. Like, there are numerous wide shots of the farmhouse, and you see like the trees in the distance. And I swear to God, you can see the spotlight coming from the trees, and everything is just so bright, and there's just no like atmosphere whatsoever.
I feel like it gave him anxiety really bad.
It did, because there was just no effort in making this movie look scary. At least, you know, not to my eye. And there's one more sequence that I have to mention that just really annoyed the hell out of me from a technical standpoint. So they actually a couple of things. Sorry, real quick. So in the sequence you were mentioning earlier, where Jennifer Aniston is getting chased down the hallway at the nursing home, she runs into this random elevator, and it's one of those stupid. God, it's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those stupid horror moments where a character will happen to run into the exact location of either a corpse or a missing character, because the old man had been missing, but he just happens to be in the elevator that Jennifer Aniston runs into. That annoyed the hell out of me. And the last thing I'll say is, near the end of the movie, when they're looking for the 4-leaf clover, they stumble upon this patch of dirt. And it's clear that the filmmakers just found this patch of dirt that they wanted to use, on film. And they just shone this green light on it. It's supposed to look grassy, but you can tell it's just a green light shining on this patch of dirt.
In there, you could see their hands all green. Like,
yeah.
It's just...
Oh, God. But Kim, you got anything to say?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Like, there was just a couple, I don't know, it gave me real bad anxiety because it was like, why? But there was like that scene, pretty much I think it was like towards the end of the movie when, I can't remember exactly what happened. I don't know, I just remember how bad it was because I was telling both of you guys how I felt like it was like somebody just took the really cheap editing program.
Oh,
and
those transitions.
Yeah. The transitions. Oh my god.
Like the flip screens.
Yeah, it just
Oh my god.
it
It looked like somebody lined it up in like PowerPoint because the transitions
God.
were so bad.
Yeah, and it was just it was giving me real bad anxiety. You had that, and then you had that one scene where they're standing in the kitchen, and then it did that whole, remember like when the group came in, it was just it panned right over, and I was like,
it panned to the left.
Yeah, and it was just like, no.
Why?
No.
Very poorly done.
And I have to say, as far as technicalities, I know you were talking about the prosthetics and everything like that being better than Troll 2. That's not necessarily a compliment because Troll 2 looks like they went and raided a 99-cent store for their makeup. But with this one, I do have to say that the makeup was... Honestly, the makeup would not have been as good, and you would have noticed it more
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't for Warwick Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it wasn't good.
Right.
It wasn't good makeup. It was badly constructed. You could tell that the materials were cheap. The reason why you didn't notice it
Right.
was because of the actor behind it. And that's where you really can, that's really the only thing that I can say that's decent about this movie was him.
Yeah.
Now, Warwick Davis has done so many different movies. He's done Willow. He's done Harry Potter.
Star Wars.
He's done Star Wars. He's done so many different iconic characters that the second you mention him, people are like, oh, wow, that was him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's used to working behind a lot of prosthetics. So thumbs up at least to the casting director.
And I have to, since you bring that up, I have to ask you guys something. Does the low quality look of this movie add to its overall appeal? Like the fact that it looks so cheap and just terrible, like does the corniness of it all add to its appeal? Like that's what I'm getting at.
I don't find it appealing.
Okay.
I agree with Thor.
I might,
I'm sorry.
I
know that this is one of your guilty pleasures.
Yes.
And that's fine. And everything, I love you dearly. But no, I didn't find it appealing at all.
That's fine. And this movie is terribly made, but I might sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I really do love the hell out of this movie just because it is so enjoyably awful. And something
but you like
that
watching The Room.
The Room is an undisputed masterpiece.
No, it is a very disputed masterpiece.
Okay,
it's not even a masterpiece, but that's that's the kind of thing.
Discussion.
Exactly, that's the kind of thing that you like. There are a lot of people out there that like the terrible, that like the over the top, corny, and the completely awful and irredeemable movies. It's just that that's not everyone.
I am one of those people.
I mean, honestly, I like Twilight, and a lot of people don't, but...
So we're not going to talk about Twilight. So
just kidding.
Okay,
vampires should not be disco balls.
We will save that for another video.
Oh, have fun with that. So
that's a discussion.
So one last thing that I want to say before I wrap things up here. So there was definitely a clash of tones in this movie because you have these incredibly childish moments. Like for instance, there's a scene where the leprechaun is rolling down the street on roller skates, and he literally crashes into this picket fence. And when he crashes into it, you get that typical this perfectly shaped.
It reminded me of Wishmaster, the first one.
Oh God, yes.
When he goes through the security guard.
Oh, Kane Hodder.
Yeah, when he did, and then he's just. God. You just saw like a
yeah. It's like this perfect outline when he crashes into this picket fence.
Yeah.
So
or when he's getting him to waste bullets by scooting around on a skateboard, and he's like taking different poses.
So you have comedic moments like that, but then you have moments where he will graphically pogo someone to death.
Can we also mention that the acting in this movie?
Besides Warwick, who he was supposed to be acting that way, so we'll give him a pass.
Like, I love Jennifer Aniston and some of the work she's done, but this was not one of her greatest work. Like,
I'm surprised she got cast in Friends after this thing.
I wouldn't want to be friends with her after this movie. Thor.
Yes.
I just realized something.
What?
Kim has gold around her neck. Is that gold she stole from a leprechaun?
I don't give a damn.
So, we're going to wrap things up here. So, yes, Leprechaun is one of my all-time guilty pleasures. I love the hell out of this movie. I've seen it 3 times now. It's just one of those enjoyably bad horror movies. Like, it does have this lucky charm to it. I can't describe it. It's just really appealing to me.
And honestly, since I spent the money on this DVD, I'm gonna sit through
all 7.
Yeah, no. Honestly, if you're wanting to watch this movie, go get one of these.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna have to if I'm gonna finish him. You got in the hood.
We're gonna make
Not,
you talk about
not only in the hood, but back to the hood.
the hood.
Not the hood. The hood. THA. The hood.
Oh, we're gonna
Because they gotta be ghetto.
we're gonna make her talk about the rest of the Leprechaun movies.
Oh God! I swear to God, if you guys
But-
make me watch those two, I'm going to seriously. You're gonna need a. You're gonna need to bribe me
Love you. But yes,
with
guys.
more than love.
Yes, even though we're a little bit early, we hope you have a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Have fun, stay safe, and thank you so much for joining us in our discussion
And
of
get some
19.
Irish whiskey.
Yes, get some Irish whiskey. Fill
This
up on
is
that.
not something that we are being paid to promote
No.
or anything like that.
No.
This is just the whiskey my husband had in the cabinet, and oh my God, I needed it.
She did. But yes, guys, thank you so much for joining us in our discussion of Leprechaun. What were your thoughts on this movie? Please let us know down below. Is it a guilty pleasure for you as well? Or do you just downright hate it like these two Grinches? Anyway, guys, thank you so much again. Enjoy the rest of your week. And
Happy
I
St.
hope
Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I was going to say, I hope you get lucky, but that doesn't sound right. Eat some Lucky Charms.
I hope you do get lucky.
No.
No,
That's not how
no.
you end this. It is fuck you, Lucky Charms.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, and fuck you, Lucky Charms!